I spoke to the woman who lives here. She tells me she woke up to bullet holes in her car, her garage, and her home. Now, this right here is a bullet hole in her window. On the other side is the kitchen. She tells me her and her family were eating dinner last night when this shot was fired. She tells me her 2-week-old baby was just feet away. So this is that intersection where this shooting happened that we're talking about. And this caution tape is still up from that preliminary investigation overnight Sunday. And ironically, this is an area that APD frequents, even though their headquarters is located just down the street. We're at the main entrance of the high school in Northeast Manor, where just a few hours ago, this drop-off zone behind me was flooded with police, investigators, and understandably a lot of concerned parents. Now, the majority of the police presence has since cleared out of the area, but I can imagine there are still investigators inside of the school trying to piece together what led up to a stabbing that left a teenager dead. The Speaker of the House holds incredible power when shaping the legislative agenda. Now, Burrows actually secured a somewhat narrow majority over David Cook, the official Republican caucus nominee who had the support of some major state leaders. The excitement was unreal, and when Coach Sark brought out his boys in burnt orange, the crowd went wild. But this year is different than previous years. I'll tell you why. It's the first time UT is heading to the Cotton Bowl ranked #1 in the nation. It's our first year playing in the SEC, and usually this game happens in the morning. This year, it's an afternoon game. But I'll tell you one thing that stayed the same. UT fans are ready to show number 18 Oklahoma who's best. Many of the homes here on East Alamo Street have been struck by bullets on 3 different occasions this month. But perhaps one of the emotional sights that I have seen tonight is this bullet hole right here. On the other side of this window is a toddler's bedroom. Now, I spoke to her mother tonight, who wants to remain anonymous, but tells me she's so grateful that her daughter is still alive. So I'm actually joined here with incumbent Mayor Kirk Watson. He's actually checking out the latest numbers. So far, we have over 150,000 votes coming in from him. That's spanning through Travis County. We're talking Williamson County, Hayes County. So how are you feeling looking at these numbers? I know you're being cautious to declare a victory right now. Is that right? 2 years ago this week, Rajan Munasinga was shot 5 times by an APD officer, later dying right here in his front porch, where a makeshift memorial has been set up in his honor. Shane James Jr. has tried dodging a mental health evaluation and even asked the judge if he could represent himself in court. Now that a judge has found him incompetent, the future of his trial remains in jeopardy.
This is crazy. This is just a sad day.
Tuesday is a day students at Manor Senior High School and Manor ISD won't soon forget.
I felt honestly really shocked. I thought this was a really surreal experience. I never expected any of this to be happening.
Around 12:45 p.m., Manor Police, Manor ISD Police, and Austin Travis County EMS responded to a call for reports a student had been stabbed during a fight. Police say when they arrived, they found 18-year-old Darren Loving with a stab wound to the chest.
That's someone's kid. So, that's sad for not only them, but for people that also know him.
Austin Travis County EMS say medics tried resuscitating Loving, but he died at the scene.
We all kind of devastated.
Manor police say 18-year-old Mac Brown Mbanwi was later arrested and booked into the Travis County Jail on a first-degree murder charge for Darren's death. The department's Criminal Investigation Division is also continuing to investigate.
My initial reaction to all of this was anger. Because you expect your children to be protected and safe.
Manor ISD allowed parents to pick up their students early from school Tuesday, and many, like Tiki Herod, were horrified to learn about what happened on their child's campus.
I immediately just wanted to make sure that I got to the school as quickly as possible.
Manor ISD canceled classes for Wednesday and Thursday. In a statement to CBS Austin, Superintendent Robert Sormani says in part, "This loss is devastating for our entire community, and our hearts go out to their family, friends, and all who knew him. We know that words cannot ease the pain, and we are all grieving together."
I'm hoping and praying that everyone else that was involved has the strength to pull through.
The police, get on the ground!
On the morning of November 7th, a multi-city crime spree comes to an end with Austin police officers opening fire on a suspect. 3 shots, then several more fired at an apartment complex in Northwest Austin. This happened at around 8:45 a.m. at the MAA Canyon Creek Apartments off FM 620 near Boulder Lane. Austin police say the suspect, 27-year-old Zachary Labrie, died at the scene. This started, though, hours before, around 3 a.m. in the city of Bee Cave. That's when an officer tried pulling over Labrie for speeding on Highway 71. Instead, he drove off, leading the officer to chase Labrie into the city of Austin before he decided to call things off.
It was obvious that the suspect was not going to stop, and my officer at that time was all by himself, so he decided decided to terminate the pursuit.
While Labrie escapes, Bee Cave police run his license plates, making contact with his dad.
And his son had told him that he had been involved in a police pursuit, that he was armed, and he had made some suicidal statements to his father.
Minutes later at 3:38 a.m., Labrie is seen on Ring doorbell footage breaking into his ex-girlfriend's home with a rifle. Austin police say he has a violent history with his ex.
That included some strangulation that he perpetrated against her. She was not home at the time. She was actually out of town. Out of fear.
Then, at around 4:42 a.m., a Starbucks employee in Northwest Austin called 911 to report she'd been carjacked while waiting to go to work.
He had a mask over his face, and he pointed a gun at my window, told me to get out.
2 hours later, police say another 911 call came in about a carjacking.
Somebody took to my car.
Minutes later, officers found Labrie at a nearby apartment complex, and when they approached him, he pointed a gun at officers.
You're seeing it, but this is in seconds, right, that this is all occurring. So this is someone who's still coming up off the ground and still pointing that weapon at the officers. And so that's why the officers continue to fire.
Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis couldn't specify how many shots were fired by her officers. She noted even though Labrie pointed the gun at officers, he didn't fire any shots and the weapon wasn't loaded. Police say Labrie was on parole with an ankle monitor at the time of this shooting, but he cut it off during the police chase. Nearly 2 years after the deadly shooting, the Munasinga family is back where their son and brother Rajan was killed.
The first time we came, his clothes and the blood were still all over the driveway. So it's a reminder every time we come why we're fighting.
According to court documents, the 33-year-old tech entrepreneur was killed shortly after midnight on November 15th, 2022. That's when police responded to a 911 call at his home about a man pointing a gun down the street. When officers arrived, they found Munasinga firing his own rifle into his home where he believed there was an intruder. This APD body camera footage from that night shows the moments leading up to the deadly shots being fired.
Draw the gun!
Those 5 shots were fired by APD officer Daniel Sanchez immediately after he's heard telling Rajan to drop his gun. After the shooting, Rajan pleads with officers.
Show us your hands! Do it now! You good?
Minutes later, Rajan died on his front porch, the same place where his family announced Tuesday they're fighting for justice.
Today we are announcing a lawsuit against the city of Austin and individual officers for the wrongful death of my brother Rajan.
The lawsuit seeks more than $100 million in damages against the city for failure to enact basic police reform, and the 3 officers who responded to the 911 call for use of deadly force and failure to render aid.
We have determined that a financial deterrent is the only thing that will bring about progress.
In addition to economic damages, the Munasinga family is asking the department to enact meaningful training reform, de-escalation procedures, transparency, and oversight. Texas attorney and former prosecutor Quentin Brogdon is not affiliated with the case, but says police reform might not be achieved in a courtroom, but as a part of a settlement.
Well, normally in a civil case, you don't get to ask for anything other than monetary damages. Oftentimes, as part of a settlement, the party being sued will institute certain reforms.
If the civil case does go to trial, Brogdon says the jury will look at the body cam footage from the night Rajan was killed as the main piece of evidence.
More probably than not, there was confusion at the scene as to whether he was the homeowner or someone else. The jurors will have to decide whether that confusion was reasonable.